Hey there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna kind of look at something a little bit different again. We're branching out in our ever-continuing quest to get more into diverse Nintendo content. So what we're going to talk about today is actually Super Mario Odyssey, a game that is very near and dear to me. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it yet, I don't know what you're doing. If you have a Switch and you don't have Odyssey, remedy that situation like immediately. So it turns out last week someone actually discovered I guess like an Easter egg or a little hidden thing in there that evidently got patched through during the Balloon World expansion update, and what happened was this. So as you can see, this is actually a video from our live feed that we were doing during our live stream last week. In an effort to try and discover some other hidden Easter eggs. But as you can see, there was actually a Luigi that popped up out of the sand from a very particular piece of information that was actually data mined back during the update. Now, if you didn't know, this is the piece of hint art that was data mined during that last update. And that is actually the Luigi right there. That's where Luigi was found. And so it got me thinking, with all the other hint art, there were like 20 of them, are any of the other ones real? Like, is there anything else hiding in the hint art that exists outside of just this one? So that's what we're going to discover today. Again, last week we went through during one of my live streams, and the chat and I tried to decipher the other pieces of hint art that were found all throughout the world of Mario Odyssey. And so today we're going to take a look and recap what we found. So up in the top left corner there, we're going to see the actual individual maps that we go through, even though I try to pop them up on screen during the stream. So this is the first one. It's obviously in the Cap Kingdom, the kingdom that you start out in, and this is the spot. It's undisputed that this is the spot where it would be. But unfortunately, we could not find anything. Now, this next one was actually a little bit tricky. It's obviously in the whatever kingdom this. I can't remember the name of the kingdom, but the Dinosaur Kingdom, the one where you can become the dinosaur. I'll remember it at some point. But you have to line up the hieroglyphs, or the little images, throughout the breakable rocks here, and lo and behold, like, it didn't take us that long to actually find this one. It popped up pretty quickly for us, actually, but if you align it just so, you can kind of see how they blend there. We even went so far as to get the dinosaur to break it open, and just see if maybe it was underneath the breakable rocks, but as you can see there, we stomped all around that area, and we came up short again. So far we're 0-2, and we're not really finding any undiscovered moons or Easter eggs or anything else. So at first glance, this next one seems kind of obscure, but it's obviously in the Sand Kingdom. We know that for sure, and it's obviously on some kind of blue background. The texture kind of leads me to believe it's painting, so we started checking out some of the buildings. And lo and behold, on top of the building, there was a spot that, I mean, it matches up identically to that hint art. So we pounded around a little bit. Unfortunately, there was nothing there. It was a bummer. But, yeah. We found the spot. There just wasn't anything there. So, again, I'm starting to see a trend develop as we go through during the stream. This piece of art was a little bit puzzling at first, maybe. It's, I had a fairly good idea of where it was just because of the outlines of the Mario. It seemed to me, it reminded me a lot of the tiling that was in the Lake Kingdom, so that's where we headed. Lo and behold, the objects lined up perfectly, and so as you can see there, it's going to be that big rectangle on the far right. And unfortunately, it's once again empty. But I mean, that was a really cool piece of hint art, because it uses the the tiling to spell out Mario and kind of like give you an inclination. I thought that was really, really cool, but still nothing. Now, we initially skipped past this piece just because it was kind of obtuse and I didn't understand where it was. But as it was happening, we started to kind of see a pattern in terms of how the art was ordered. And so it kind of went in order with the kingdom. So we hopped back over to the Wooded Kingdom and eventually stumbled across that. And I mean, it was so beyond obvious at that point that I was like, wow, I feel really stupid right now. But as you can see, we're trying to pop open that one spot. It's obviously right there in the middle. So after we catch a tank and hit some stuff, we're gonna go and ground pound up into that area. Now this was also a pretty clever hint. Like, I mean, it on its own it looks very, very just generic, right? But once you see the actual facade, it's just so it's really cool. It was really cool. But unfortunately, again, there was nothing hidden there, so you know we're striking out again. This one was a cool one, and I immediately kind of thought of the Lost Kingdom. It's going to be under these trees here. That big yellow circle is actually the Odyssey's balloon. And so these patch of trees over here, once you line it up, it turns out to be at the base of the tree. But again, we could not find anything. A really cool piece of hint art, though, because, I mean, you got the colors of the trees and everything all play into it. So this one was kind of a nightmare. As you can see from the art, it's actually just a coordinates one. But you know, after some guesswork, we decided to head to the Cloud Kingdom on the off chance that, you know, it would be there. And it turns out that it matches up perfectly. And so up by where you can find Peach on her travels, there should be something hidden there. But again, we turned up empty-handed. I actually had to double back to this one because I didn't really know where this one was. Initially, it looked like a Sand Kingdom piece of art. But one of my viewers was like, "Oh no, those look like you know, the worms," and I was like, "Oh, yep, that's 100% true." And then once I get to the right side here, you can actually see it line up perfectly. So there should be a piece of hint, or not a piece of hint art, but a piece of something hidden in that section right there. But I mean, after ground pounding around a little bit, we couldn't find anything again. And I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but I don't know. There's nothing there. Now, the next couple pieces of art were pretty easy to find, actually. I mean, the hint art, you can see, it literally says New Donk City. So, I mean, there was no way that we couldn't find it. I initially thought it was the big emblem in the center, but then once I kind of checked out the surrounding area, I noticed this symbol and this image down here. They actually had the word spelled out, so if I had to take a guess, I would say it's right there on that spot, but we couldn't find anything. And we didn't have to double back for this one. We knew exactly where we were going. Again, the New Donk City ones are pretty obvious. But it's Espresso and Cruel. I wasn't sure if it actually meant the intersection, like the actual street intersection, or the actual street signs. So we ground pounded around in both sections. But as you can probably guess, once again, we found nothing despite the exact location. Now this one is obviously the Seaside Kingdom. There's no getting around that. It was a little tricky to find the actual place, but noticing those kingdom coins was the trick. We ground pounded around a little bit, couldn't really find anything though. It's definitely the Lake Kingdom, and it's definitely that spot just kind of flipped upside down. This one was a fun one. It takes a little extra effort. You've got to grow the beanstalk to really find the actual area, but the image, or the hint art rather, is actually the beanstalk shadow into those coins, and we got Poochie digging around down there. So this is kind of the obvious place where it would be. You got to use the shadows. There's some science involved here. So we're gonna pop down there, and without freezing too badly, ground pound around, but we're not gonna actually find anything. Another pretty easy one. This is obviously the Luncheon Kingdom. There's lots of pink. There's lots of little posts. So we counted it out. There were 14 exactly. This is the only place that it could have been, and it's the third down from the top. So we popped on up there, tried to ground pound around. Obviously, you can't really explore too much, but I mean, if it was there, it was gonna be there. There was no other spot for that thing to be, because you're literally surrounded by a bunch of lava-esque bubblegum stuff. Now, this next bit is in the 8-bit world, but obviously, you can't really ground pound in 8-bit, so really it's just giving you an idea of where it is, and it's right up where those peppers come out. So we popped back up into our 3D selves, ground pounded around, and found more disappointment. Now, the only reason we really found this was because of the order of the maps. It's obviously the Ruined Kingdom, and it's the claw marks in a giant circle. Literally it. Only way we found that was because of the order of the hint art, and the next one beyond this it couldn't have been the other world. So it had to be this kingdom, and it had to be here. So we ground pound around, actually in both claw spots just to be safe, but we don't find anything. So the art alone on this one is pretty sweet. It's obviously Bowser's Kingdom, and once you get to the top right section of the area, just at the very top, you can line it up with the moon perfectly, and note that this is where it should be. So just to be safe, I ground pounded along this entire plot just to make sure I didn't actually miss anything. But, as you'll see here during the gameplay footage, I don't find anything, even though I try and hit every little piece of tile, just for the sake of safety. This next one's pretty obviously the Moon Kingdom, but it was kind of tricky to find. You can see the coordinates up there. It's in this quadrant, but it's an oval. So this was the only kind of oval-shaped crater that I could find. Everything else was circular, and it matched with the coordinates, kind of. I initially thought this was going to be somewhere near the chapel, but no, the coordinates make that impossible. So despite ground pounding around a little bit, around the entire section, actually, we could not find anything, unfortunately. But I feel like it would have to be in this area right here. Now, this one I actually kind of found on accident while looking for the last piece of hint art. But you can see some lines and then a circle. And so I was climbing up one of the towers, and I saw the outline. I said, "Oh, hey, there it is. We found it." So we ground pounded around the trail here. It's obviously on that first big hump, and there's nothing there. I feel like I'm turning into a broken record here, but unfortunately, we're just not finding any of these that work. So far, we've only had the one piece of hint art that turned up a Luigi, and no moons or anything else hidden so far. Also in the Mushroom Kingdom, we have the last piece of hint art, which is quite large on the screen there as I was showing my viewers. So it's between the boss rematch of the Sand Kingdom and the Wooded Kingdom, as illustrated in the graph there, with a moon between those two things next to some kind of graded line. Now, the graded line, I definitely took it as being the staircase. It lines up perfectly in between those two towers where you can rematch the bosses, and it just, honestly, it makes the most sense. I ground pounded around everywhere, but I feel like it would have to be in this little grass area, but we didn't find anything, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, it looks like it was all for naught. This last piece of hint art was the one we didn't actually go to look at, but it does uncover the Luigi, and afterwards, we went back to console ourselves to look at 8-bit Luigi again, and it does pop up again. So if you go to the Sand Kingdom and find him, you can keep finding him. He doesn't give you as many coins the second time around, but he is still there. There you go, guys. We tried to uncover some more secrets from the data mined hint art in the last Mario Odyssey update, and we couldn't find anything. Unfortunately, it looks like just the 8-bit Luigi for right now in the Sand Kingdom is all we got. Let me know in the comments if you think that we'll eventually get this in an update or some kind, or since, I'm sure Nintendo probably knows that data miners have found this, do you think they'll even add it in a future update? I personally hope they add more stuff like this, Not necessarily moons, because you already have almost 1,000 anyway. I don't see the point. I don't see the point in that many moons. But having the 8-bit Luigi there was pretty cool. So if they added like some other 8-bit characters, like I don't know, like Waluigi or Wario or something like that would be really neat. Either way, guys, remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the hidden hint art. Are we going to get something like this in the near future? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs so that we can get back on our partnership grind for YouTube here. And leave a like if you enjoyed. But that's it for me for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I am Blue, and I will catch you next time.